The remainder of this lecture is just you're looking at computationally difficult tangent lines. So for each of these, once I write it, pause the video, try to do it on your own, see if you can, and come back to the video each time when you think you've got it. So these are computationally if f of x equals 3 ln x over 4 and f prime of x equals 3 over 4x, find the equation of the line tangent to f of x at x equals 1. Okay, for our tangent line, we know we're going to have y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So we need first a point, f of 1 equals 3 natural log of 1 over 4. The key thing here is to note natural log of 1 equals 0. That's just got to be memorized. So that's 3 times 0 over 4, or 0. So that means we have a point. X is 1, y is 0. Actually, I guess this is x1, this is y1. And then for m, we need to find f prime of 1. We have this equation right here, 3 over 4 times 1, 3/4. Plop that in here, y minus 0 equals 3/4 x minus 1. If g of x equals x times f of x, what is the slope of the line tangent to g of x at x equals 0 if f of x equals sine x over e to the x? We're just asking for the slope of the tangent line, so this really means find the derivative g prime of 0. That's all this really is asking for. So g of x, this is really, the really tricky thing about this is just make sure you read the problem. This is x times sine of x over e to the x. So we have both the product rule and the quotient rule going on. We could really, I think, do them in either order, but the way that I've written it out, the quotient rule is sort of the outside one. So let's go ahead and work with that first. So g prime of x, the quotient rule we know is the derivative of the top times the bottom minus the top times the derivative of the bottom all over the bottom squared. Now we need to work these out. Now this, notice we have a product rule right here. So inside this whole thing we're going to have the derivative of the first times the second plus the first times the derivative of the second. That whole thing is just this little piece right here. So then we've got e to the x still next to that, minus x sine x. Then the derivative of e to the x is just e to the x. Exponents multiply, that's e to the 2x. Derivative of x is 1. Derivative of sine x is cosine x. All e to the x minus x sine x e to the x. And now we're looking for g prime of 0, so we can do that. Sine of 0 is 0. Cosine of 0 is 1. E to the 0 is 1. 0 times 1. All over 1. And so then what we have here is, oops, my bad, x is 0. This should be a 0 right here. So this is going to give us 0 plus 0 is 0 times 1. This all subtracts to be 0 over 1. 0 times 1 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. There's 0 for our final answer. This next problem, what is the slope of the tangent line to y squared minus 2x squared equals 6 minus y at the point 0, 2. Again, slope of the tangent line is just saying derivative at 0, 2. Now notice that we can't get y by itself, so we got this y squared here. This is going to be using implicit differentiation. So if you don't know how to do implicit differentiation, go back and look at the lecture that's titled Implicit Differentiation. Go back and review that first. Really what's going on here is just that we go to take the derivative of this, and we're going to take the derivative of every single piece. So the derivative with respect to x of y squared minus the derivative of 2x squared, derivative with respect to x of 6, minus the derivative with respect to x of y. Remember, if these variables don't match, that means that we have to do a funky type of chain rule. So we do 2y, and then we're doing the derivative of the inside function with respect to x. We don't know what y is, so we just notate it like that. These variables match, so it's just the standard. Bring down the exponent. 2 times 2 is 4x. Derivative of a constant is 0. And then this, again, that's that funky little chain rule thing because the variables don't match. Just like that. Okay, now we can treat this dy dx that we're trying to find, because that's our derivative, just like another variable. So I'm going to add dy dx to both sides. Add 4x to both sides to get it over here. Can factor out. Now I can divide both sides by this 2y plus 1. Now I've got that equation. Now I know what x and y are, so I can just plug those in. Four times 0 is 0, 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5, 0. Complete coincidence that there happen to be a bunch of problems coming up to 0 this round. Okay, our final one involves the derivative of inverses. Specifically, inverse tangent of x. Go back to the lecture on derivatives of inverses if you don't know how to take this particular one. It's just a formula, just kind of gets to be memorized. Again, slope of the tangent line at x equals 3 means find f prime of 3. So let's start out with f prime of x. Just got to memorize this one. The derivative of arctangent of x is 1 over 1 plus x squared. Just is. F prime of 3, 1 over 1 plus 3 squared. One tenth.